Hi, I'm going to talk today about how to create a switch on a 3D printer. So what I wanted to do was to create a communication switch, a single voice output switch, kind of like this on the 3D printer. And the first thing that I did was I did some research on the internet to see if I could find some places that had 3D switch patterns already. So what I did, I found on Thingiverse, there are actually two switches. There's this one, which was the original, and you can see this is actually a switch for computer access. So when looking at the pictures of the switch, you can see there's actually a spot right here that the access for the computer goes into. There's a spot in the middle where you're going to put your hardware. And in addition, there is a button and a collar. So a button and a collar that go onto that switch. What I wanted was to create um, a single message communication switch. So I needed to adjust the pattern just a little bit. Looking at the other switch, this was kind of the modified switch. There were a few things that they did on this that I did like. So instead of having the hole on the inside have like a little lip where your computer, like the AV jack goes in, this actually is just, let me see if this picture shows it a little better. It's just flat. So I wanted to use that because the hole is okay. It gives a little bit more space for the sound to come out since it is a switch. Few things that were a little different. The cuff was fine. I didn't need this circle that goes around there because the way that I wanted to make my switch, the actual communication device, which I got just on Amazon, was too wide for that. So I used a few pieces. I used this base from this switch and the cuff, or the little ring that goes around the top. I used those. I wanted to make sure that they threaded correctly, but I used the button from the original switch. So just to kind of go back and look at that button, it actually just has like a little piece that comes up out of it. And I'll show you on the one that I created, you can kind of see there's a little piece that comes up. And this actually, for my switch, it activates it. So when I push it on there, it'll activate that. And I don't have it turned on, so you can't hear the recording. But so that actually activates it when I put it down. A couple of other things that I needed to do to make the switch that I created work was to take out that center piece. You can see that both of these patterns have that little piece that is in the center. I needed to take that out so that my little communication device could fit down inside the base. So I took that. I took the pattern. So I took the cuff and the base from the modified switch pattern and the button from the original switch pattern, and I used Tinkercad. Tinkercad is just kind of a general, easy to use program. This is very beginner, so if you're still working on learning how to create on a 3D printer, this is a great one to use. And I'm going to open this up so that you can see how I tinkered with it on here. And the best way to show you that is to show you what it looks like. So you can see there's a hole right here that is in the middle. And the way that I created that was I actually took this cylinder that you can see on this side, and the cylinder with the lines through it means that it creates a hole. So I took the cylinder and I placed it inside. And if I click on it and I ungroup it, you can see that cylinder sitting inside. And I knew I needed a little bit of a lip, so I needed to go in just a little bit, but not too much because I didn't want it to go all the way through. So you can see at the bottom, it's not there, but that cylinder can be moved around. So now that it's ungrouped, I can move this up and down however I need it, or out or in, however it needs to be. So I'm gonna just hit back since I had it the way that I liked it. The other thing that I did, so once I created that, I was able to actually export those files onto my computer, and I'll upload them into another program to be put onto a 3D printer. The other thing I did for the to tinker with it just a little bit was I trimmed, and I did it the same way. I trimmed this down just a little bit so that you could so that it would be long enough to activate my switch, but not so long that it kept it held down. So it needed just a little bit of tinkering to actually get that down in there. So now I have my switch. I can record a message on it, which is fairly simple. And this cost about $10, wasn't terribly expensive. And I can just record. This is a single message switch made on a 3D printer. Turn this, and there you go. So then I just drop that down into my switch. And as you can see in the base, that little lip kind of holds it in place. It doesn't fit tightly in there, but it holds it down. And then I put the way that I usually do it is I put the button inside of the cuff, and then I put that and I screw it on there. And it gives it just enough give that I can activate this. But it doesn't hold it down. So that's how I went through the process of taking a 3D switch pattern and creating it so that it would be useful for a single message output. And I'm going to show you some videos of the 3D switch being made on the 3D printer. And then I have a video of one of the students that I work with activating the 3D switch. The only other thing is I did decide to make these two different colors. So I had to order some new filament. The filament, again, I got it on Amazon. I think it was $15 maybe for a big roll of the filament. And I wanted to make it two different colors. And the reason that I did that is so that students who have visual impairments would be able to differentiate between where they need to activate the switch and the base. So there are actually two different colors there. You could do it however you like. You could make the base white and the cuff white and the button a different color, however you want to do it. I just happened to do it this way just so that it would be easy to see, especially after it was printed, that it is three different pieces. So the final step actually is to download these files onto Cura, which is the software for the 3D printer. I am currently using a Monoprice Maker Select. This is the software that is recommended to use for that. The way that you do this, and I'm actually just going to start a new project. So I will say open file. Actually, I just want to do a new project. So I'll open a new project. I don't need to save this because it's already been saved onto my files. But I'll just open my files. I can find the AT switch. So you can see these. If it's something that can be used, it'll kind of highlight so that you will see it. And I believe the name of mine is base com switch. So that's the file that I wanted to use. And then the adapted button. So I open that up. When it comes into the program, you can see it's just like that. and I can move it up or down. I can check it to see, to make sure that it's the right size. Um, I can look at it from different perspectives. So you can see it's laying flat on the 3D printer. If it was up like this, then the 3D printer would be having to try to create it in the air. So it actually won't even let you do that. And then once that is in there, then I just have to hit prepare and it will slice it for me and tell me how long it will take to print that. So you can see, if I had my if I had my SD card in the computer, it would tell me that it would save to a removable file. So that's not in there right now, but that's where it would save. And you can see it says that it will take 18 hours and 11 minutes to create this switch. And that's just for that little, just for the base. It takes a little bit of time. And that is pretty much how that's done. And like I said, I have videos for you to watch of the 3D printer being made and then of a student using them. Thank you for watching.
When you are printing onto a 3D printer, the first step is to turn the printer on. You will see that there is a screen on this printer. There's a touch screen that you can use. Once it comes on, I'm going to go to the tools. I'm going to go to preheat. I'm going to preheat both of these. Then I'm going to go back to where it says print. My file's already in there. I know what I want to make. I want to make the collar. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the collar. You can see that the bed and the nozzle are both preheating. It just takes a couple of minutes, and then it will start printing. This file for the switch, for the communication switch, is in 3 pieces, and I usually I just do one piece at a time. I add it to the printer through a this is just a SD card that goes into the side of the printer, so it's pretty simple to get it from my computer to the printer. As soon as it heats up, it'll go ahead and start printing. For the collar, because I did it as a 2-tone, just to help with vision, the top part is white, or the collar part is white. So that will start printing, and you will be able to see that in just a minute. Now, whenever you're printing on a 3D printer, you have to do some calibration ahead of time. This has been calibrated based on the table that I have it set on, plus the floor and the type of printer it is. We'll just give it a couple of seconds to finish heating up, and then you'll see that it's going to start. Typically on a 3D printer, it will start by printing a base, and then it'll print your print on top of that. So most of the time when you're doing a print, you want to make sure it has something that it goes on, and then you just kind of pull it off when it's finished. So you can see we're almost done heating up, and then the printer will start. It tells you when you put it into the computer how long. I believe this, just for the collar part of the print, it takes several hours. So I'm just going to show you when the printer starts, and then I will try to do the video again at the end. So it should be about ready, almost heated up, and you'll be able to see that. So it's completely heated, and now it's going to go ahead and start the print. Typically on this one, it will draw kind of a little line, and then it'll go in and it'll start printing the base. So we will see that in just a couple seconds. There we go. Now it's gonna start printing, and then that's the base. So that's what the print's actually gonna sit on to help keep it from sticking to the print itself. So you can kind of see how that looks. And then it'll print little lines, and then it'll go ahead and cross those lines. When it's completely printed, that part will actually just pull right off. So that's kind of the setup of the printer, and then I'll show you what the print looks like when it's finished. Okay, so now you can see that the base is complete and it's currently working on the actual collar. So now it's starting to fill in the actual print, but I wanted to show you what it looked like and what that base looked like once it was done. All right, so we're a little bit farther along. You can see that it has created this kind of waffle interior. So it's not a completely solid, print, but we're a little bit farther along on it, and all the supports have been put into place. Okay, this is about 84% complete, and you can kind of see you can see the part where it screws into the base is already created. The platform, still working on it. I'll show you some more later. Alright, so this is what it looks like as I pull it away. So like I said before, this is the base that it prints on. So once I get that off, you'll be able to see this is the top, and I'll pull off these little hairs. So now you can see that I've switched the filament. I now have kind of a greenish color, and I'm working on the button that goes into the cuff. So the 3D printer has already created the support on the bottom to print on top of, and it's now working on the button. The button doesn't take nearly as long as the base or the collar to make, but it still is about 4% done right now. All right, we're at the beginning stages of the base. You can see that it's created the supports underneath, and it's working on the bottom. And there is the base. This is the completed base. You can see we've got the hole in the middle, and I'm gonna take it off the printer now. All right, so now I have all 3 pieces printed. I've got the collar, the button, and the base. You can see the little lip in the base. I just need to turn this on, place it in here, and stick the button down in the collar, and then all of that gets screwed on top of the base, so that when it's complete, you'll be able to push this button.
This is a single message switch made on a 3D printer
to activate it. And that's that. That's our 3D switch.
This is a single message switch made on a 3D printer.
All right, so now that you've seen the whole process of how I created the switch from the files, and then again on the 3D printer, I want to show you a video of a student using the switch. And the audio is a little hard to hear just because bigger room, but to capture that sound was a little bit hard, but I had her with, first with her mother and then with a peer. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how to create a 3D switch and see some possibilities for things that you could do. Thank you.
Hey, Jumka. Hey, my Jumka.
This is a single message communication switch made on a 3D printer.
Hillary, feel the switch?
Please turn the page.
Good job.